All rise for the RankKing's court.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the greatest spectacle that graces your internet screens every Tuesday from 6:30 and beyond. This is the RankKing's Court. I am the Rank King, Austin Moorhead. Welcome to another Tuesday. Alongside me as well, we have Oracle Vo and Noble Knight Greg here to give you one doozy of a show, people. How we doing tonight, guys? Crowns out there. So I
Yonder, apparently.
There
we go again.
It's somewhere.
It's somewhere?
Yeah.
Hidden.
For all of you to find. Yeah, no, make that a scavenger. That'll be fun as shit. No, yep, I'm pleased that we're gonna have a great show tonight. We have a continuous topic, but before we get into that, let's discuss what we had last week.
I barely remember what we had last week. Oh yeah, the B movie thing. My bad.
Thanks, Greg.
Barely bad. B movie.
You know what?
Yes, very good. Beneath
Yes.
the standard, if you will.
All last week we discussed all our favorite B movies and the movies that are so bad that they are good. Greg actually knew a lot more than I thought he was going to know, which I don't know what that says about his music taste. How about his movie taste?
I'm a cornucopia of information, but just leave it at that. I have my finger on the pulse of a lot of areas that you don't know about.
I guess not.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah, see?
Very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had quite a few. In fact, they even watched the trailer for the Birdemic: Shock and Terror.
I cannot believe we that's 3 minutes of my life I'm never going to get back.
That was like someone made it on was it Adobe?
Oh, that's what happens when you have
Whatever
a
it is,
10,000
whatever
that's
the
a
Adobe version.
$10,000
Where the hell did they get the actors for that is the part that I'm thrown
don't
off
know.
by.
I'm pretty sure
Outside.
that movie was $10,000 budget, but let me check
Yeah.
again.
No,
Well,
it was.
actually-
I think it was. Yeah, you're accurate.
$1,000 budget.
The actors and actresses were pretty fit. I think they might have got them at.
Oh, look at you segueing perfectly well where you want to get fit. RankKing's Court is live today from Unit Fitness Studios, located on the North Shore of Pittsburgh. Unit Fitness is more than a traditional gym. It's a place where you can transform yourself inside and out. With a variety of classes based around fitness, yoga, strength, and performance training. At Unit Fitness, they believe that it's their duty to hold themselves and their clients to a higher standard. They practice what they preach and uphold the values that make Unit Fitness the community that it is. Go to unitfitness.com today to sign up for a consultation. Through Union, there is strength.
A lot of strength to get through the topic of this one, guys. We are continuing on with a subject that let me create a story for you.
Oh boy.
I'm sitting here and I'm noticing on my Xbox Game Pass that there is a game that I've wanted to play for so long. I've seen the trailer and I'm like, it's finally on. It's free for Game Pass. It was like $59.99 if you didn't have Game Pass. So
Wow. That's absurd.
that shows me already. So if you have Game Pass,
Highway robbery, if you will.
Is it on PlayStation?
I might have to check with that. It's probably on PlayStation, but you probably have to buy it. Either that or it's on the Play Store, whatever the
Yeah, you peasant. You
hell.
purchased this
No.
and
Hey,
like
EA
it.
Play only.
But the game is simply known as High on Life. And it is the game that is created by the creators of this show that we're going to be talking about tonight. Justin Rowland, we are talking about all things continuously with Rick and Morty tonight. I'm very, very excited. It's a show I hold very dearly. And it actually makes sense because season 6 just finished up. So
I was gonna say, what was the last Rick and Morty ranking that we did? It was a while ago because we had
It was
a year
episode
ago.
34 because I looked it up.
we had the
earlier.
I'm pretty sure we had the Rap King as like a guest for that one, I believe, because I
Well,
wasn't the
that
topic
was-
wasn't the topic like the best side characters or something like that.
we
That was
so
that
we
was the
didn't
top
have
10,
so
I think.
I rewatched everything to make sure I didn't have any like of the same rankings that we did.
Good on you for preparing, bud. We need more of that.
Yes, so we did not have a guest for that. It was just 3 of us.
Oh,
But I want to say that he voted on our best side characters. I think that's what because that was the
That
great
was the
debate.
great debate.
we had.
Yeah.
yeah, because I cheated and used like some bracket that we found online of like the best ones. So that's how we came up with that. Because I don't know shit about Rick and Morty.
You still gotta watch it.
Whatever.
Oh, God.
So
This-
season 6 just ended.
just ended. Yes,
I don't think I watched any of that one yet.
It was a ride. I'll tell you that much. It probably was one of their. I would say it's probably one of their better seasons. I'm very, very excited what they brought, and I'm even more excited for when season 7 comes out because they're just keep rolling with this. Uh, all the characters and all the lines and everything were like practically perfect, honestly. So it was. They actually did something for this season that they have never done before, and they did a 2-parter. They did 5 episodes, and then they took a break, and then they brought back the second half of season 6 like a month or 2 later. So,
Okay.
Were they 2 separate storylines or were they like essentially interconnected?
I mean, essentially they were all I would say aside from like the first like maybe 3 or 4 episodes in season 1, everything is connected.
All right.
So, yeah, it wasn't until like episode 4 or 5 in season 1 that they were like, all right, well, let's continue this. Let's not just do like random one-off episodes. So, I know that, yeah, Greg, you gotta get on it. I know everyone's like, yeah, well, I'm telling you, Deke didn't watch it originally. He had to find out later how popular it was, and he was like, all right, I'm into it. I should have listened to you before, and that's an I quote. So,
That's an I quote. Oh.
I will say, like, I typically don't watch shows like this, but when we did that last episode, we binged through it all, and
Mm-hmm.
I actually enjoyed it.
But in
It
fair,
wasn't like tough to watch.
I was gonna say, in fairness, a lot of the stuff that he does episodes on, you usually find a way to somehow end up binging in some way.
I usually do, but like,
Mm.
I don't finish. Like, I didn't watch Pokemon.
That's just you. That's just you being like an outdoor kid and refusing
I
to.
did try to watch some of it, but I didn't binge it all.
Oh, you are a horrible person on that one.
I was outside.
You were outside, apparently.
Pokemon's an outside thing now.
It is. It very much is.
That's true.
Especially Pokemon Go now makes it an outside thing.
So there's a lot to discuss with this gentleman. Like I said, season 6 isn't probably going to be on like a streaming service for like a while. I actually watched all the ones from my Xfinity app that I have on my phone, so they're all on there.
Well, I was gonna say, isn't it on like? Isn't like the first 5 seasons on like Netflix or Hulu or
It's
anything?
on, I think,
Yeah, the
Hulu
first
and
5
HBO.
seasons are on HBO Max,
Okay.
Hulu, they're all on there. So those ones are on there, but this latest season is not on. Probably won't be on for like months, I would say.
Yeah, like I'm assuming they'll probably wait a little before they add it or something. Like Rick and Morty doesn't strike me as like a next day type thing that like most shows on like network TV is or something like that.
Now the fans would like it that way, but as we've seen in this show, I love how in some directions the creators just are like, "Fuck you! You're the fans. You don't know what you want, so we're gonna put this in, and it's gonna fuck you."
It's very
And-
Vince McMahon like.
It is. Which is he coming back?
But we're not talking about that. No.
I did
No.
see something.
We're
about
not talking about it. No.
I literally just saw something on TikTok that had the what was it, the audio from the Star Wars game with what's his name? It's like, you agreed to stay away. I lied. So, well, another discussion for another day, I guess. But let's get into it, guys. Continuing on with the saga of Rick and Morty, this is Radical Ranking number 1. Now, we did do this for a great debate, but I'm re-upping it. Okay. So this is going to be the updated top Rick and Morty side characters. Now, there's some familiar faces in here. There's some not so familiar faces. I think we stopped at season 4, I think is what we stopped last time. That sounds about right.
Well, I was going to say, have like any of the side characters that you've listed previously been bumped up or have been bumped lower compared to it in your eyes, just out of curiosity?
I would say some of them that were originally on my list probably were bumped off entirely. So
okay.
It's going to be an interesting one to say the least. Let's bring our first side character coming to us from season 5, episode 1. We are introduced to the one and only Mr. Nimbus.
He freaks me out. He's just creepy.
He looks like Aquaman, but like
a starving Aquaman.
Yeah, he does look like a starving Aquaman, actually.
So, for this, we are introduced to Mr. Nimbus when I think Rick and Morty are on one of their classic Rick and Morty adventures. They fall from the sky into the ocean. And Rick, now Morty was driving, obviously, because Rick was incapacitated. He wakes up and he starts freaking out. He's like, Did you land in the ocean? What? We gotta get out of here. And then suddenly this giant clam rises, and I'm Mr. Nimbus, and he like starts rubbing his nipples and everything. It's such a. But apparently, this is Rick's arch nemesis, the king of Atlantis, so to speak.
Oh, so definitely Aquaman. Okay.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right then. Interesting.
The episode where we'll talk more about the episode later, but this guy he's made quite a few appearances since season 5, episode 1. He's a weird character, but I love him so much. He can make cops fight and screw each other, which is so off-putting, so weird.
So definitely not like the mind control over the ocean life, I'm guessing. Okay.
Chip says reminds me of the Deep from The Boys.
Oh, good eye, Chip.
Could see that.
we need to do a show on that.
Also very perverted, kind of like the Deep, I'm guessing.
Have you guys watched that entirely?
Yeah.
Because I think I gave up at season 2. I stopped.
What do you gave up?
I gave up. I just never got back around to it.
Get into it again. The show's awesome.
It starts off insane. The first episode.
It gets better. Are you kidding me?
Just the way it started, though.
Oh yeah, it gets better. I'm telling you. But yes, this Mr. Nimbus character basically wants Rick to sign a treaty with him so that they can resume their peace, and a whole bunch of shenanigans transpire. We'll talk more about that later in the show. But Mr. Nimbus at our number 5. This character, our number 4, bumped down a little bit because we just don't see him anymore, and I would like to see him more. And that would be Mr. Meeseeks.
He's one of my favorites.
He's the lovable blue character that you press a Meeseeks box, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Mr. Meeseeks. Look at me." Tells him that he has a task. The Meeseeks completes that task, and then the Meeseeks disappears. Essentially unalives itself, so to speak. Just blanks. And that's its goal. Its goal is to do the job and then to die. But naturally, the Meeseeks, you think, okay, this is an easy task until Jerry pops up. And Jerry's task is that he wants to get 2 strokes off his golf game. Naturally, Jerry's not very good at golf. So the Meeseeks struggles to the point where the Meeseeks grabs another Meeseeks box and presses it and goes, I am Mr. Meeseeks. Hi, Mr. Meeseeks. I'm Mr. Meeseeks. It's like, can you help me get 2 strokes off Jerry's golf game? Can do. And essentially, they just keep spawning because Jerry's so bad at golf. And they reach a point where one just bows down to its knees. It's like, I can't take anymore. I just want to die. So they end up trying to kill Jerry because of the Taskmaster is destroyed. Then they no longer have a task. So they just die. So they go on a murderous rampage trying to find Jerry until Beth, his wife, helps him take 2 strokes off his golf game, and they eventually disappear. Now, the Meeseeks does appear more or less just in the background. There was the scene where he someone pushes it to help them in a video game at Blitz and Chips, and then it disappears. In season 4, in the first episode, Rick presses it to get rid of a Nazi Morty. So it's very, he's not in the picture anymore. I would like him to be. So that's kind of why he's bumped down a little bit.
So this is like the thing where he's such a popular character and the creators are just like, nah, we're good for a little bit.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Let's hit our number 3, a new addition to the side characters. He is definitely more present in all these later seasons. He was definitely in some of the earlier ones too, but he's much more of a factor now. This is President Carter.
Yeah, what, season 5? I think he was in it a lot.
He was in a lot in season 5. He's in a lot of it in season 6.
Okay.
Basically, the president of the United States, who becomes a major, I don't even know, you could say a rival to Rick. There's a thing where he wants them to investigate this underground lair, and it turns out to just be like this crazy just little alien creature that they take care of in 5 seconds. So they just go on and don't tell him, and they start playing Minecraft. And it comes a whole point to where the president relies more on Rick and Morty, and then it's like, we don't need him, screw him. So that they cut ties, and he tries to handle all this alien stuff by himself diplomatically. And Rick's like, you're an idiot, let me do it. And it comes to the point where they have this giant brawl in the White House, which is hilarious to say the least, with all the mechanisms and everything they go about it. Like I said, he's a lot in season 5 and season 6. There's a particular episode that we're going to get into that has him a lot in it. I want to say that though, because it's one of my absolute greatest things to talk about with this show. So,
and that's saying a lot, I'm guessing.
It is. And we get to President Carter at 3. Move on to number 2. No shock that this individual is here. It was Greg's first pick in our side character bracket that we did.
No idea.
So number 2 is Bird Person.
Okay, I remember now.
The picture says it all. These two have been through thick and thin with each other. We really don't see much of what transpires with him after he dies and gets resurrected by the Federation as Phoenix Person. But in season 5, there's this episode where Rick goes into, we find out that he saved all the remains of Bird or Phoenix Person, and uses technology to go inside his brain to drag the Bird Person back out from the Phoenix Person. They go through all these memories and all their adventures with Squanchy, and it's just absolutely, it's amazing. Number 1, it's heartfelt. Number 2, we find out that Bird Person has a kid, so it's a whole bag of worms, so to speak.
I see what you did there.
He's like, well, I remember because there was a scene where he takes an injured Morty. He's like, Morty, I can provide assistance, but can promise nothing. He's like, oh. Finds out when he wakes up, he's like, is this shrapnel? It's like, it is seed and worm. I do not know what humans eat. So it's incredible. We add a very gross joke in after to where his girlfriend, wife's Tammy comes in and is like, I know what this bird eats. And he goes, don't be gross, Tammy.
That's incredible.
And finally,
but it's not number one.
It's not. There's only one clear-cut side character. And he was even at the end of season 6, at the very end. Here is Mr. Poopy Butthole. Oh, look at me.
Oh my god.
I love this guy so freaking much. It's funny because, like, after the last episode, I always know that there's going to be a Mr. Poopy Butthole scene. And he just talks about his life and, like, where he's at now and, like, how the divorce went with his family and how he's doing now. At the end of this one, he's jacked. He's like, oh, what a crazy season. Oh, man. Oh, geez. I got really buff from my trainer and everything, you know, because I thought you expected me to get back with the wife and Poopy Jr., but that just didn't happen. I got really buff. And he, like, goes down to squat, and he, like, breaks his, like, both his legs. Like, oh, jeez. No, call my wife. Oh, let me use your phone. She blocked me.
That's what I like about, like, some of the ends of the episodes. They, like, talk to the fans watching.
Well, it's funny because I saw an interpretation that Mr. Poopy Butthole is supposed to represent the fans. Like, at the end of the season. I don't know if that's absolutely correct. It's probably not because he's talking right to us before.
I was gonna say that's kind of weird then. That literally the last scene is of him having his legs broken from trying to work out. I don't know what that says about the fans then.
I mean,
means he's just working out his arms, not his legs.
It's only the upper part he cares about. He's not doing everything that's needed.
To say the least. I mean, this guy's been a fan favorite. We saw that in the heist episode in season 4 that he's a professor teaching at college, and they're like, no, you got to join this thing, and here's all your students that know karate, and they're gonna attack you. And so he, like, beats up all his students, and he gets fired from the university job for beating up his students, and sort of, like, spirals his life down, like, more than it was. That's when he lost his family. He was living in an apartment by himself. This is all after we found out that he was a real character from an episode with the mind parasites, because he got shot, and instead of turning into a parasite, he just bled normally. We were just like, oh no, Mr. Poopy Butthole, no. It's like, is this what death feels like? It's so cold.
I mean, in the picture, he looks happy here.
He does. He looks very happy.
Must have been before his whole life fell apart.
Top hat and cane. He was clearly doing a dance number from what it seems, or he was ready to go out about on the town or something.
All will tell. But yes, those are my particular favorite side characters. Now we move on to Radical Ranking number 2. For our second Radical Ranking, this hasn't been done in quite some time. I want to say since maybe season 3, season 4 maybe. I think it was season 3. But we have what was known as interdimensional cable, where they would be essentially off the fly, no script, kind of doing whatever. All the guys that were doing the show would get drunk and just start listing off random things to be in this show. I'm trying to find the word for what that means, but
it's kind of like the show in the show, like these episodes. They're making their own, I guess, creative stories as TV shows on the actual TV show.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool. TVception.
Ooh, look at you coming up with a fancy terminology.
Very fancy.
Very fancy.
But as we know, these are off the wall. They are hilarious, and these are my personal top 5 favorites that they did. So number 5, we have baby legs and regular legs.
A buddy
cop.
So it's a buddy cop show but the leg. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Starts off with a detective saying, the chief going, "Baby legs, you're a great detective, but not great because of your baby legs. So I'm partnering you up with regular legs," which is just a regular guy. He's like, "Detective, oh, I find this very bad for my self-confidence." It's like, nah, go out there. There's a criminal to kill. Like, they just don't say capture. They just say criminal to kill. So they find the one guy. It's like, "Oh, there he is." He's like, "Oh, I'm a killer. Oh, I'm running. Oh." He goes, "I got this. Baby legs, let's go." Woo! He starts like walking, but he has to do that, and he falls over. He's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna get him. I just learned a really valuable lesson." The guy runs, "I'm coming, baby legs. I'm regular legs," and he like tackles the guy.
So they're a good team. That's what you're saying.
Yeah,
they still got the guy.
They bring out the best in each other, which is how a good partnership works.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Is the interdimensional cable skits, are they all like in one episode, or do they just like occur throughout the season or something?
There were technically 3. There were 2 interdimensional cable episodes, and there was one episode called Morty's Mind Blowers, which was essentially memories of Rick and Morty, but they were in the same caveat. They would just play. So there would be a bunch of different sketches and skits in either one of these 2 episodes, and then they had the Morty episode where they did all that. So it wasn't these things went probably more than like a minute.
Yeah. It's kind of like
It's improv. It's all
Fairly
improv.
Odd Parents episode where they like went in the different shows.
Oh, the Channel
It's kinda-
Chasers?
yeah, it's kind of like the Channel Chasers, but they're not actually
Making
Rick and Morty on the new shows. Like it's a
Well,
separate.
But it's
show.
interesting, like Channel Chasers, they clearly like made fun of like existing programming.
Yeah.
You know, in this case, this is like completely
You
original.
never heard of Baby Legs? In
Never
real
heard-
life?
No, never heard of Baby Legs in real life. Maybe real life it's actually something else, like Baby Head, you know, or Baby
Yeah,
Arms,
maybe.
Baby Arms or something like that. Yeah, I don't know.
But yes, we have baby legs and regular legs.
I wonder how many of them were also put out there as like ideas for like, hey, maybe we could pitch our other ideas to this, and this is how we get them.
Make a spin-off show.
Yes, that's probably what they were thinking in that case, which is a brilliant idea if that's so.
Who knows? I know them thing. At number 4, we have the Personal Space Show.
Oh, yeah, you've talked about this one with me. This is very funny from what you
This
described.
guy literally would go on stage with his tape recorder and his mic. He's like, "Oh, welcome back to the Personal Space Show. It's a show about personal space." He would walk, "Hey, whoa, wait, whoa, back up. This is my personal space." And he'd have a whiteboard that he would go. It's like, "All right, let's get into it, right? All right, number 1, personal space. 2, personal space. 3, stay out of my personal space. Number 4, get out of my personal space. Number 5, personal space." And there'd be a guy behind Rick and Morty watching the TV, and he was going like, every time he would
Every
like
time he said
list
something.
every time he would list one of the numbers, he'd go like that.
Have you ever done Have you ever gone on the website?
The personal space website. I'm afraid of what will happen if I do. It'll probably like spam my computer with viruses.
Zo's about to do it right now, so we'll see how this goes.
Personal space show.
Show.com.
Do it on Google first. Don't just type it into the URL.
I did already. Too late.
Nothing's happening.
Oh, I guess it's nothing.
Jesus.
Spam.
Oh well.
Oh. Yeah, and at the end he goes and he's like, "You know what? I love personal space so much. I don't even want to be in this skin anymore." And he like just tears off his skin to the point where he's just muscles. He's like, "Oh, okay, well that hurt, but hey, tune in to the number 1 TV show we got going on right now."
Yeah.
Takes you to some Reddit site.
Yeah, apparently like someone on Reddit said that they bought the domain for it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I am brilliant on their part, but still.
I wonder how much it cost them.
I don't know. I mean, it's like Jersey of the League where like Taco buys the DallasCowboys.com as like the domain.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So that's our number 4. At number 3, we have a personal favorite of mine. This is the Ants in My Eyes Johnson.
Yep. I remember this one too.
Like, oh, I'm Manson My Eyes Johnson. Look at it. I have all this great stuff. I think I can't really see anything. I have all these ants in my eyes. And he's like, here's this microwave, $99, and it just says free on it. It's like, how about this refrigerator? And it's like in like a hose. And it's like $3. Like, oh, all this different stuff. Ants in My Eyes Johnson. I can't see anything. And then he puts his hand down in like the burner. He's like, I also can't feel anything. And he just starts catching on fire. He's like, it's a very serious disease that I have, but I just can't. I can't do anything. I can't feel anything. I can't see anything. Answer My Eyes Johnson.
He's struggling for sure. Even in the picture, you can see his pit stains.
Oh yeah.
But he might cut you a deal. Like, say he's talking about something, and it could be something way more expensive, and he's getting you a deal on it.
I mean, yeah, take
Good
advantage
salesperson.
of that. Absolutely.
I will say that when he's on flames, you just see everyone kind of just pillaging the store. It's like,
that'd be the way to do it.
So, at number 2, I love this so much. And again, this is an also website, so someone may have also bought the domain on this. But this is Real Fake Doors at number 2. It's stupid. This is on a whole nother level of stupid.
I mean, they're clearly making fun of, like, I'm pretty sure, like, well, the Monsters Inc. thing with the doors and stuff. But there's also, like, I guarantee you there's been, like, other, like, cartoons or stuff that do the running gag of, like, the multiple doors thing and all that and going in them and stuff.
Scooby-Doo.
Oh, yeah, the Scooby-Doo thing. It's great.
There we go. That's another week. We mentioned it. It's like 5 or 6 in a row now.
Oh, that's creepy.
I'm telling you. I want to do another Scooby-Doo episode.
I gladly will. That one I will gladly participate in and have plenty of insight on.
But yes, the commercial for this one starts. I was like, "Oh, are you tired of just opening doors and walking right through them? Well, we got something for you. Real fake doors. Here's the doors. Here, try open it. Oh, one open. Here's another one. Oh, one open. Real fake doors." And then the commercial proceeds to stop, but he doesn't stop. He like gets in his car. And like Rick and Morty like watches like, hey, I thought the commercial was over. He's like, hey, stop. Let's just see where this goes. He's in traffic. He's always like, come on, we got a place to be. Son of a bitch. Like goes through there.
Around.
He's at home. He's like, oh, he's making himself a sandwich. It's like a peanut butter jelly sandwich. He takes a bite of it. He's like, hey guys, Phil here, still here. Still selling real fake doors. He like walks like 2 feet over, and it's the doors again. It's
That's incredible.
It was still a commercial. I loved it. It was hilarious. But yes, I think it was like realfakedoors.com, and it was like a whole bit. He's like, "Because realfakedoors.com is our website. Here's our URL. Here's the reviews that we get. The people are awesome. Here once again, real big and bold. Real fake doors." realfakedoors.com.
What if you had a full room of the same door?
Yeah, how would
like
you know?
All fake.
You wouldn't know
that wasn't fake.
Well, yeah, it's how you would get out of the room.
That would just be like insane. Like trying to figure it out.
Well,
I would hate that.
Well, no, that's fair. But like, I would find entertainment somehow, because how many doors could you potentially fit in one room? You know.
Depends how big the room is.
That's fair.
And finally, at number 1, we have Two Brothers.
Huh. Okay.
So this was originally a movie trailer that dropped. He's like, hey guys, there's 2 brothers. And then a meteor hits. And all these different things start happening to the point where like there's these large feral cats. There's a Mexican space armada that shoots tomatoes out of guns. There's old women. And then the sun, it crashes into the earth. And it's basically the whole thing was like derivative to make fun of like the action movies that were like brought about. But I want to see if I can find the actual like movie title. Because like Two Brothers was the actual like movie title. But they actually had like another... There's an actual transcript for it. Oh my god.
Wait, what do you mean there's a transcript for it?
For the
like
movie?
It's an actual... I am reading the lines. I'm reading the lines right now. Coming this summer, 2 brothers in a van, and then a meteor hit. and they ran as fast as they could.
Wait, what was
And
that
then-
website you were just on?
What?
So-
Fine Art America.
Sorry. Like he found a movie
It
poster
looks
for
kinda cool.
he found a movie poster for two brothers that looked dope as hell. But then I was like looking at it and I'm like, wait, they have like other cool stuff on there I wanted to see.
There's a sweatshirt with the movie cover on it too. The movie poster.
And anyway, and then a giant tornado came, and that's when things got knocked into 12th gear. A Mexican armada shows up with weapons made from two tomatoes, and you better bet your bottom dollar that these brothers know how to handle business in Alien, Invasion, Tomato, Monster, Mexican Armada brothers, who are just regular brothers running in a van from an asteroid and all sorts of things. The movie.
That's a lot.
It's
Hold
like-
on. There's more.
Yeah.
Old women are coming, and they're also in the movie, and they're gonna come and cross attack these brothers. But let's get back to the brothers, because they have a strong bond. You don't want to know about it here, but I'll tell you one thing: the moon, it crashes into the earth, and what do you do then? It's two brothers, and it's called Two Brothers. It's just called Two Brothers.
Ah,
It's like
That's
you're watching it and you're like, oh, they're done, and then it just keeps going, and you're like, okay,
Mm.
like, is this ever gonna end?
I mean, most action movies are like that in fairness.
Yeah.
So yes, I love that. It was hilarious. There's definitely a lot more. There's Man versus Car, the only show that pits a man against a car.
Mm.
It's like a wrestling thing, and then like the guy like starts wrapping his arms around the car. He's like, oh, the guy's getting it. He's getting it, and then the car just puts on him gas and just runs over his face. Like, I don't know why we do this. The car, the car.
Always wins.
There's Strawberry Schmeckles, the what did the Lucky Charms ripoff, where the kids start eating the marshmallows and stuff out of his guts because he ate all the Strawberry Schmeckles.
Strawberries.
Oh my god.
There's Jan Vincent Quadrant C, the movie, where there are only 12 Jim Michael Vin. I can't even get the freaking name right. Jim Michael Vincent, I think, yeah. And he's like, hey, are we supposed to know who this Jim Michael Vincent guy is? He's like, no, just roll with it. And it's like District 12, it's like the Hunger Games, but there's only like a certain number of Jim Michael Vincents that are allowed in each quadrant.
Oh my god.
What else? There's so many. There's How Do They Do That, where they make the plumbus. It's like, here,
Where they make where they make what?
make the plumbus.
The plumbus?
Exactly. Vo, show them what a plumbus
Yeah,
is.
let's look it up.
Google what a Rick and Morty plumbus is.
What the fuck is a plumbus?
You gotta watch how you do it, Greg, to figure it out.
What the fuck?
What
the fuck is that?
What episode was this from?
This is the first interdimensional cable, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Actually, maybe the second one, because I think they watched this one in the hospital.
What the fuck?
I don't remember this part.
They just make a lot of made up words like, oh, the fleas rub against the chumbers.
Oh my
And then
god.
Tommy shows up and spits on it. It's
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
How
Right, just-
I would be curious if you would try to say this is like an actual like anatomical like feature on something, what would you put it as?
oh, Greg, get your mind out of the
Oh,
gutter.
shut up. You know damn well that's what they were going for.
Greg, it's a plumbus. Okay?
You explain what a plumbus is.
I will definitely explain what a plumbus
Yeah,
is.
explain.
Seconds. Give me 2 seconds.
Explain what a plumbus is, damn it. I need the information.
This is what it says on Google.
A
For
plumbus can generate and store vast amounts of heat, allowing it to be used for cooking, ironing, or just heating the room. Plumbuses can secrete various agents from itself and has adaptive rubbing surfaces, making it useful for cleaning.
This one says, for homemade plumbuses, always push your dingle bop through a grumbo so your fleeb doesn't fill up with its own juice.
Ah.
Yep.
Okay.
That was the instruction on how they made it.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Interesting.
I love this show. Also, Ball Fondlers, which was a team ripoff that had just like a bunch of people in a van just mowing down people with guns. But they would like put on like heavy music and they would have just like a puppet in the background that had a gun and like, oh, Ball Fondlers, yeah.
You needed a children's mascot. It's understandable.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this show. But yes, I love this show so much. All right, now we move on to what has become a very nice subject for this show. We have the oh great oh the beat.
Beat.
All right. So, with everything this show offers, many people are wondering exactly what can be transcribed as the main antagonist of this show. So, what our discussion brings is Rick, the actual villain of Rick and Morty. Because it seems that no matter what happens, it's Rick's fault. He tries to fix it, it gets worse. There was even a portion that went back to what his original life was and everything, and how everything transpired and how people are today. That's our question, gentlemen. So I don't care who starts.
You want to go
Probably
first?
Uh,
Take a shot at it.
I'll take a shot. From what I know about Rick and Morty, I've been told previously that the backstory for it was that it was supposed to be kind of a ripoff of Back to the Future. How Rick was supposed to be, you know, the Doc and Morty was Marty McFly. And from Back to the Future, Doc was not a villain necessarily, but he was the cause for all of the stuff going on in Marty's life, which you can transcribe as being either good or bad because they did change the timeline to better it. But it was always the wackiness that Doc created that caused it. So, and also if I remember correctly, Rick in the and I maybe only saw like a couple glimpses of this or not, but like I'm pretty sure in the very first episode, like like Rick does essentially bring Morty onto his adventures and stuff, and that causes all the turmoil and all the craziness that transpires from it. So, since it is kind of Rick's fault for everything, and you're learning about all the different backstories that are going along in Rick's life, you could make a very good argument that Rick is the antagonist of the show.
there we go. Vote.
Oh well, I never agree with Greg, so I gotta
No.
keep the streak going.
Obviously.
And I'm gonna say Rick. Sometimes he does the wrong thing, does bad deeds, but in the end, he just wants his family to like him. He wants Morty to like him, takes him on all his trips, all his adventures. Sure, things go wrong. That's just bad luck. I don't think he means to harm anyone. So I would say he's actually a good person and not the villain.
Makes sense. So being that I know what I know, I wanted to see how you guys would react to this question. In my honest opinion, Rick is the victim of bad circumstances.
Okay.
He had a wonderful life to what happened when an individual approached him, another Rick. This was actually, you can partially see this happen in season 3, episode 1, where he's captured by the Federation and they're trying to steal all his memories so that they can rule the universe. And what we see is another Rick come through and being like, here's this portal travel, like, here's all this and that. And he's like, nah, I'm good. I have everything I need. And we find out that his wife and his daughter were blown up. That was seemingly a thing of his own undoing. So we're like, okay, this is Rick like finding like his way back. What it actually was, that original Rick, which is known as Rick Prime, who caused the death of Rick and of Rick's family, prompting Rick to become, say this without sounding stupid, the Rickest Rick of all. This is actually at the end of season 5, episode 10 or 11, I think it was. If there's only 10, but I'm pretty sure one of these seasons had an episode 11. But we see that Rick kind of like was actually responsible for like creating the Citadel, showing all these other Ricks what to do. So he's not the villain technically, but a part of him is, which he's still trying to track down to this day.
So is that why he hops from universe to universe?
In a sense, well, most of them are just for adventures, but he thought he had Rick Prime tracked, and he had to reset the portal that was done by evil Morty at the end of season 5. So all the Ricks were transported back to their own original dimensions, Rick Prime being one of those, so now he's on the loose.
Okay.
So spoiler alert. But
So then you would argue then that Rick is not a villain, he's just a tragic hero.
Yes, I would argue that.
So yeah, like he can't escape bad things happening to him. He just continues to move forward.
Yes, but he does it in a bad way. Like
he just makes the wrong decisions in doing so.
Yes, I mean, he's still an asshole.
Well, like, yeah, exactly. Like you can't change your personality just like that. You are who you are, but yeah, you're making the argument that he's not necessarily the one that's like causing the destruction and chaos on purpose. He's trying to better it. He's just not doing it in the correct manner.
Not doing it the right way.
Right. Actually, you can make the argument he's an anti-hero.
I think that would suffice.
Yeah, because I mean, the logic is that, an anti-hero essentially is doing the right thing, but he's doing it in a way that heroes wouldn't do it. So yeah, Rick's an anti-hero then.
There you go. It's settled.
All right. Let's take a break. Go get a drink, hit the restroom, do whatever you need to do. We'll be right back with our top 10 of the evening. Stay tuned.
Let's dive right into sports, as I have strong opinions on that. Which college team could beat a professional team in the same sport right now?
Okay.
There is not a single answer that is better than the LSU Tigers defeating the Cincinnati Bengals.
Even if I know the pitch that's coming, every other part of me is still normal.
That's why it's frustrating for me, Greg.
It's like okay, if I know what something is coming, I know ahead of time, I still have to be able to do the action to get the result that I need.
Okay, so they won 3 games in 10 years with 3 rebuilds.
I don't lose at arguments.
Especially about fast food, so yeah.
You will never walk alone. Guess what? Now you will. Coronavirus.
I barely touch my girlfriend's cat. The most I'd be willing to do is like just kind of put my finger on its forehead and just like.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, with us is Alex Kazor from Steelers Depot.
We are live with Ryan Smith, professional cornhole player in the ACL. Ryan,
what all franchises were you able to work with in the NHL?
With Phoenix, Carolina, and Detroit.
No. So here is Moorhead's ranking. Moorhead is my cousin. He is the rank king.
Higher
Top 10 extra Power Rangers.
Oh.
Okay. This is the top 10 emo songs of the 2000s.
There's only one correct answer for number 1. Why is F is for Family better than Futurama when Futurama is like
Star
think-
Wars for potheads. Like
I know.
I'm
Well, I think
We have one or two that are mad in the chat.
you're welcome for that.
Okay, we're gonna get banned.
Back. Talk about that later, gents. All right.
Yeah.
So we have our top 10 ranking of the evening. This did not happen last time. It should have. So we are going to discuss my top 10 Rick and Morty episodes.
Not our top 10, your top 10.
I was gonna say, how did we not do this last time?
We did moments. We didn't do episodes. We did moments.
Okay, that's what I couldn't remember what the top 10 was.
Well, I was gonna say, how shouldn't those be pretty similar then? Because I'm pretty sure the moments are gonna play into a big factor in whether or not the episode's good.
But it was moments. It wasn't episodes.
Could
right?
have 2 moments in one episode.
Very true.
That's a lot for one episode.
It happens.
Could have 3.
That's way too much, yeah.
You know, Greg, if you'd watch the show, you'd be able to understand this. But
Maybe when I'm on vacation between Christmas and New Year's, I'll do it. I don't know.
say maybe, even though I know you're not going to do it. So
Yeah, absolutely.
False
All right,
hope.
let's start off with our number 10. Our latest entry comes to us from season 6, episode 5. This is Final Dismithation. Yeah, Final Dismithation.
Okay.
Have not seen season 6, so
Well,
enlighten us.
Well, I'm assuming based on the Play Awards, it's a riff on Final Destination, so.
You would think, Greg.
Oh, no.
So the episode starts off, they are at Panda Express.
Okay.
So
I'm
automatically
intrigued.
win automatically. All right. So they eat, and then they open up their fortune cookies, and they're all like shitty fortunes. And then Jerry opens up his fortune, and they're asking, "What's your fortune?" He says, "You will fuck your mother." And the family starts like making fun of him, because he's like, "Oh, why is she calling me all of a sudden? This is crazy. This doesn't happen." And Rick finds out that, oh, there's something up with this fortune. So they go to the Panda Express. In the quote-unquote line that he says, "Jerry, I'm about to say something I've never told anybody. We have to go to Panda Express." We go back to Panda Express, and they're just like, "I see you guys have dropped this," and then all these workers just pull out all these guns and knives and start attacking him and everything. They're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, what's going on?" And they find out that, like, "Oh, who do you get your fortune cookies from?" And the one guy's like, "What? You don't want to know about our Mexican drug cartel?" I was like, "No, I don't care. Break all the laws. I don't give a shit." So they get the address for where all these fortune cookies are coming from. And it turns out that there is this company that has found the secret to obtaining whatever fortune you want, but for a price. So they use this alien to essentially, like, I don't know, poop these eggs out of itself, and it's a chaos agent. So, but it has a stomach disorder, so it creates all of these events that you write down on this piece of paper, and they'll come true. So this guy has been writing like all these different fortunes for them to come help him, and finally he was just like, "Well, I just started. There were no one was coming to help me, so I just started writing a bunch that say you will fuck your mother in them." It's like, what? It's like, what happened to all the other ones? Well, I assume they're mothers. And yes, it's absolutely hilarious because they go to fight these bodyguards, and it's like emergency fortunes, and then like break open like a in case of emergency break glass and fortune. It's like you will do well in your fight, and then all of Rick's like weapons like fall off. He's like, oh my god. So all of these fortunes that are read come true, but you have to have like there's one where like, you know, for a surprise for all their employees, it's like you will receive a 5% business increase, and then you see a guy like that hasn't paid money or whatever in the corner, and he's like, please, I'll pay. It's like too late, and they like shove the fortune in his mouth, and then he chews up the cookie and opens it. He's like, your balls will be crushed by a froyo machine.
Jesus Christ.
So it's absolutely hilarious.
The best part is that it's called Panda Express and not like a made-up name or something like that. Like,
I'm surprised Panda Express was okay with that, actually.
It must have. I mean, McDonald's jumped on with that Szechuan sauce thing, and we know what Wendy's is doing with them. So it's a whole thing, man. Now let's get into number 9, season 4, episode 2, The Old Man and the Seat.
Okay, why is it a picture of Rick like looking like he's in paradise?
Because Rick has a special toilet that is on a distant planet where he goes to privately poop whenever he wants to. Somehow, Rick finds out that his toilet has been used by somebody else.
Oh.
So he tracks down, using all these technological things, he like analyzes this stool sample that was in the toilet, found out what the person ate, a sandwich from this shop. So he goes to this sandwich shop that's run by like a gangster fly that has all these frogs working for him. He like walks in and it's like, ribbit, 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 ribbit. And he's like, oh, look at you walking in here. Who are you? And it's like, I'm here to discuss a sandwich. And he's like, oh, sandwich meaning drugs? All right, let's kick your ass. So he's like, his phone rings, like, you might want to get that. And it's like, he opens up his phone. He's like, the fly goes, hello. He's like, Daddy, there's a crazed man. He's going to kill me. He hangs up. He's like, you idiot. I have 5 million children. He's like, check your voicemail. It's like, you have 2,500,000 messages. Like, whoa, all right, that's almost half of them. Oh my god. So finds out that this sandwich was delivered by a robot that's off in the robot wars. He goes to find that robot to where these robots are fighting off against these crocodiles. He wins the robots that war, finally finds this guy in the office, and he's basically low end on his life. He's like, using your toilet was like the most incredible thing, because Rick was going to kill him, but now he felt sorry for him. So he doesn't kill him. Well, then he goes and poops in his toilet again. He's like, you can't just keep using it. It's to the point where he eventually dies, but not by Rick's hand. So Rick feels like shit. So he goes back to the toilet, and there's a message that was left for the guy that was like, you're a piece of shit, screw you, like all these like holograms popping up. And it's it's sad because it's Rick. He's on the toilet hearing all these messages of this guy that died.
Yeah.
Aww.
It just makes you think, like, how did they come up with this stuff? Like, making this episode.
A lot of drugs and a lot of alcohol. That's pretty much all you need to know.
The side plot is also hilarious. They have a intern that's working for Rick named Gluty. And on the forehead of Gluty says, do not develop app. And Gluty's like, why? Do you want to develop an app? And it's like, literally, that was to make sure that no one develops the app. Well, guess who develops the app with him? Jerry. And he develops an app called Love Finders with 3 Z's. Where, like, people, like, are drawn to each other, like they fall in love, but then it's like Tinder, it moves on to the next person, so like they never have a lasting relationship.
Aww.
To the point where like it's absolutely hilarious. Excuse me. I love it. Move on to the episode. We move on to the episode where I was
succumbing to his sickness.
Oh, stop it. We move on to the episode I was just so excited to talk about. At number 8, we have season 5, episode 6. Rick and Morty's Thanksploration Spectacular.
Oh my god, they did a Thanksgiving episode.
Yep.
It starts off with Rick and Morty going to steal the Constitution, and Morty ends up using a laser to cut into the Constitution and the Statue of Liberty, which actually is it's a spy robot sent by the French.
Of course.
Sounds about right. I mean, we did get the Statue of Liberty from the French, so yeah, makes sense.
So what ends up happening is that Rick goes, oh, there's only one thing to do now to make the president not hate me. And they're like, no, Rick, not again. He's like, too late. Too late. I'm going to turn myself into a turkey to get pardoned by the president. And it's like, how many times have you done this? He's like, oh, too many to count, Morty. We're going to have to do it again. And it's a back and forth thing between the president explaining something to Rick explaining something. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, before we had all these like turkeys that were brought up, and then it cuts to the president. But now we have several armored trucks that are taking the turkeys one by one. Secretly now, which are, then it cuts back to Rick. Secretly now, which are employed by ghost companies, which I've hired, and then cuts back to the president, which we've allowed to be hired. So now we get to the point where Rick and them turn themselves into turkeys, but to make sure that they don't get away with it, the president hires Marines to turn themselves into turkeys.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's a full-out turkey fight.
So now only the people that are turkeys can tell who people that are not turkeys are turkeys. People can't tell the difference between who's a human as a turkey and who's not. So what ends up happening is they finally get to being like in the place where the president selects a turkey. Well, then the president turns himself into a turkey to find out that they're Rick and Morty. So unmistakably, so all of these Marines that are turkeys have tracking chips in them to show the people that they are the real people and not turkeys. Well, when he gets punched in the gut, the president spits out his tracking chip into a turkey, into another turkey. So they take that turkey and turn him into the president. So now it's just a grown, like it's President Carter, but he has feathers and stuff, and he's like, he's basically the mind of a turkey, but now with a person.
Yeah, there's a major plot twist in that one.
Yeah. So what does so is President Carter now just a turkey the entire time?
They are turkeys, and they try to escape, only to be. They're like, where are all these other turkeys? Where are we going now? It's like, where all the unclaimed turkeys go, and it's a pit. It's a pit, a Rancor pit, but it's FDR.
Oh my God.
With his bottom half a spider. And they're like, why does the United States have a clone version of FDR as a spider? It's like, that's no clone. That's the original FDR. The polio vaccines weren't enough to kill him. So yes, the turkey president then proceeds to have other turkeys turned into people to create a giant turkey army. And to make sure that Congress goes along with it, he increases their pay by like 7 times, like every like 5 hours.
Wow.
Congress goes along with it.
That'll do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you think it ends there, it doesn't.
Oh my god.
Because in order to fight against these turkeys, the treasure that Rick was trying to find at the beginning is actually a pit that they go into. Excuse me.
We're just watching Austin die on air right now. Jeez. This is not good.
So, with that, they go underground and find that 2 species have crash landed, and they are the pilgrims.
Oh my god.
They are alien versions of them. It's a very Alien versus Predator kind of thing, where they're like, oh, they're gonna fight, and then they hug, like, oh no, they love each other, look. And so he gives them an activation code to go and kill all these turkeys.
It's just one thing after
What
another.
the fuck?
Every that's why you watch it, because you're like,
It just like spirals out of control. Jesus Christ.
you can't even think, like, try to imagine what's gonna happen next. It's just
No,
everything's thrown at you. It's every episode like that too.
This episode's great. I firmly wish that you would watch this one, Greg. It's hilarious.
You do like Thanksgiving, right?
I love Thanksgiving. It is my favorite holiday.
If you're gonna watch one, at least watch that one.
Move on to number 7. This is season 5, episode 1, Mort Dinner Rick Andre. We have the introduction of Mr. Nimbus. They have a dinner planned to invite him. That's only the first part. One of the subplots is that Mr. Nimbus is a swinger.
Of course.
You don't see anything coming.
So he gives Beth and Jerry a form to sign to have a threesome with him. So during the whole course of this episode, that is something that is being discussed. But you also have Morty, who somehow invites Jessica, his love interest, over to his place during this dinner. Morty was assigned to grab wine from this place where you open it, the portal, and there's this place that are what I can only describe as like dog people. Like the guy's name is Hoovy. So
Oovy?
He's like, oh, I'll bring this wine back to you and help you out. And so he opens the gate again to go back to him, drops the wine off, gives one wine back to Hoovy for being such a great guy, goes back to his own time. The problem is that every time he goes back, there's a huge time skip. So
How big of a time skip?
So Hoovy goes back to find his wife's dead, died of old age, and that his son is there. His son murders Hoovy for abandoning them. Wine is spilt. So Morty has to go back, and it becomes this thing where, like, these dog people see Morty, and they view him as an enemy. So, I don't know, he goes back again. He thinks he sees Hoovy, but it's actually his son, grown now. So he tries to attack him. He gets the wine. He goes, no, Dad, I'm going back. He goes back again. Hoovy's old, like, planting vegetables. He's like, you piece of shit! He starts, like, beating him up. And it goes to the point where, like, the goal of these dog people are to kill Morty now. So every time he comes back, their technology has surpassed. They have, like, a giant castle, and they have, like, all arms on defending this castle and everything. It's hilarious.
So like there's just a time jump, and every single time it gets worse and worse, where they're just game planning to try to kill Morty.
Pretty much.
Huh.
Yes.
And just so I'm clear, Mr. Nimbus is actually not the main. That storyline's not the main part of this episode. It's literally the Morty thing.
Exactly. Yes.
That's crazy.
You would think. That's why his show's great, Greg.
There's just so much going on. you don't like one storyline, you might like the other.
Oh.
It bothers me, Greg. But at number 6, this episode's so stupid that it's funny. This was a screw you to the fans episode, which I loved so much. Number 6, season 4, episode 8, we have the Vat of Acid episode.
Okay.
So, the premise of this episode is that there's a deal that's supposed to go down with a transfer of diamonds between Rick and Morty and somebody else. It's like, oh, if things go south, jump into the same vat of acid I do. He goes, what? He's like, yeah, you have a vat of fake acid? He's like, oh, are you old? Do you have like, he's like criticizing Rick this whole time that like this is such a bad idea. Well, what ends up happening, they end up betraying them. So they're like, oh, well, there's nothing left to do. Guess we gotta go by. And they jump into this vat of fake acid. There's a lever that opens up. There's breathing tubes down them for them to breathe, which is what they're using. Mm-hmm. There's a lever that opens up, and all these bones fly to the surface. Like, oh man, that was he just unalived himself. That's crazy. Like why would they do that? So they reach in. They're like, I'm not an acid expert, but a lot of these bones seem weird. And then Morty accidentally opens up another one. And it's all these like rat bones. They're like, oh, what's all this? So that they reach in with a ladle to test if it's real acid. Rick uses a gun to shoot the ladle so it melts, so it's like real acid. So they end up getting out of there alive. And finally, like, Morty's like, you've lost it. This was so bad. This is so terrible. So he gives him a task that Rick didn't want to do, but because he said he couldn't do it, he has to do it. And that's to create like almost like a respawn button for Morty to respawn whenever he just does something wrong so he can have a do-over.
Huh, so that would be nice to have.
I was going to say, wait, why is that a screw to the fans then?
Just wait.
There's more.
Of course there is.
In this whole thing, Morty ends up meeting a girl, talking with her, like, this scene goes on for like, I want to say like 10 minutes of just like them having a wonderful life, and then like going on like a vacation somewhere and their plane crashes and then they're in Antarctica. There's no like audio to this whatsoever. It's all music.
Okay.
So they survive through all this hardship. They get back to the house and it's like a remote, like it's a do-over remote. So Jerry thinks it's the TV remote, clicks it, and it goes all the way back to when Morty did his last do-over, which was before he met the girl. He tries to do everything, screws it all up. Morty goes, all right, I want it. You were right, this was stupid. It turns out it wasn't a do-over button. It was just that every time Morty wanted to redo something, a replacement Morty was sacrificed so that Morty can continue on doing what he wanted to do. So, as a payback for saying that the vat was stupid, all these Mortys died. And, like, I'm talking, like, he responded when he, like, respawned when he tried to, like, flip a Cheerio in his mouth and he couldn't do it. So then he respawned.
Wow.
So all these Mortys just died. He has to, like, do something where he's labeled as, like, the worst person in the world. So, like, FBI, cops, everybody shows up. There he's like, oh, there's only one thing left to do, I guess. And he stares outside, and there's another vat of acid.
Oh, my God.
And he's like, you kidding me? And he's like, say the vat's not stupid, Morty. And he's like, so this whole thing was just to make me like, Q, I'm not dying. I have a genius brain.
I will admit I hate when shows do that. They keep repeating over and over. It's like at one point you're like, all right, we get it. Like, just make it happen now.
This is funny. This I really. You guys got. I mean, you guys should watch all these, but Greg is gonna.
I've watched up to season 6.
No.
So it's all on Greg now.
Number 5, season 2, episode 3, auto assimilation. This is one of like the darker episodes that we have. I know you're listening and you're like, darker? How much darker can?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, wait a second. I'm pretty sure this is already a dark show. In fairness,
but they go on this adventure, and it turns out that there's this parasite that's infecting everybody to become one unified organism, like a unity, so to speak. And it turns out that this unified organism recognizes Rick because they used to date. So,
of course.
So right away they're like, oh, we never worked, we'll give another shot. So Rick just makes all these crazy little demands and everything. Like, he wants to fly over like a sea of like naked redheads or something, and it happens. And all this different things. And we find out that the two are just toxic. Like, they don't mean to be toxic, but they're toxic to each other in ways that Unity starts losing members of its colony because it was like turning things like individuals like sex offenders into workers, because it's all one shared mind. So when she starts losing that ability, it becomes a war. I shit you not, it becomes a race war over various types of nipples. It's like, the cone nipple people will rule the world. It's like, it's the square nipple people. Fuck you. Fuck you. They start fighting each other.
Wow.
And so the episode eventually ends when Unity leaves Rick, because Rick was going to leave everything. He was going to leave his family. He was going to leave his kids. Unity was losing control, so she left Rick so that she could be better and so that he would go back to his family. Well, wow, the ending scene for this was dark as all hell. It's like he just drinks himself into a thing, and it's a, attempted unaliving of himself. It's absolutely nuts. So
that's why it's like in his garage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hit on me. Like, when we watched that with like my friends for the first time, we all looked at each other like, God, like, Jesus. Like, it's an animation card. It's an adult animation. Like, it's not supposed to make you feel like that. Like,
Too
really,
bad, fool. Makes you think.
Oh. Let's hit number 4. Season 1, episode 8. We have Rick Minutes. The birthplace of interdimensional cable.
So this is the first like interdimensional like cable. Okay, got you.
So they're watching all these scenes go down, like, until Jerry sees a version of himself that's in Cloud Atlas and like a movie star. So Jerry, Beth, and Summer obsess over themselves in different realities. So Rick makes them a pair of goggles that they can share to see what their lives would have been, while Morty and Rick watch interdimensional cable. So while they're watching these cable episodes, Jerry's going through and he's like doing cocaine with Johnny Depp, banging Kristen Stewart on a yacht. Beth is no longer a horse surgeon. She's an actual surgeon on people. And Summer ceases to exist. She is, all her realities, they're playing Yahtzee and Chutes and Ladders. So it turns out that there's like a interpretation where Beth and Jerry's lives would have been great if they didn't have Summer, and
Wow.
it makes you think a lot. And then in the other room, it's two brothers and ball fondlers.
Yeah.
Jeez.
All this other again, this show is funny, but it hits heavy on like a lot of like issues. So a lot of people love it, including myself, including Vo. Greg.
You're up.
All right, I won't give in to peer pressure. Like, the fuck you doing?
Just watch one episode.
Hmm.
You have 3 left. You gotta pick one of these 3 to watch.
Well, if Austin does a good sell job, we'll see.
All right, Austin.
Number 3, season 3, episode 7, the Reglantis mix-up.
Oh, he's interested. Tell him more, Austin.
So the premise of this episode was hilarious because all we were given in this was 2 scenes of Rick and Morty going to Atlantis, like going into the portal to go to Atlantis, and then coming back from Atlantis.
So Mr. Nimbus would have been in this if he was introduced in something, or...
So, yes. But it got all of us thinking, it's like, that's kind of weird. They're not showing what's going on in Atlantis. They're just showing entering and leaving it.
Mm-hmm.
But right away, I was like, there's going to be something with this episode. And it was. At the beginning, right before they left for Atlantis, 2 Ricks from the Citadel of Rick came and wanted to sign a treaty that he would be donating to the Citadel of Atlantis. Or not Atlantis, Citadel of Rick. So then the entire episode takes place in the Citadel of Rick, where you have all these different Ricks that are running for office. You see how a society is built with this. There's a Rick known as Simple Rick that has all his memories like put in and makes him like cry of happy tears, so that all these like production of wafer cookies come out like totally perfect. And essentially, like, Morty are treated like cattle. They're used for cattle in this. And what ends up happening is that one of the Mortys decides to run for office. And they're like, well, that won't happen because a Rick always wins. And this Morty gives a speech well enough that, sure enough, he is elected and is the ruler of the Citadel of Rick. What we don't realize is that this Morty is in fact evil Morty from season 1, to where he now has control of the Citadel and basically makes a point to the table, and he's like, which one of you wouldn't be comfortable with me leading? And all of them raise their hands except like 2. He snaps his fingers and all of them are like shot in the head with like a laser beam.
Damn.
So
He doesn't mess around.
No, so this Morty's purpose is to exterminate it all. Exterminate the bond relationship that this Rick and Morty have with each other, that the Mortys are dispensable, and that the Ricks are terrible individuals. There's a side school thing that's going on where they're training Mortys to like be obedient to Rick, and that has a Stand By Me affiliation with it, where some of the Mortys go off on an adventure and everything. They come back and the school shut down. The Ricks that were responsible for all this are now dead, and Mortys and Ricks are now living in existence, but they don't see the evil end side of it. So.
So what's the evil side of it? Just
that evil Morty is in charge, and he wants to kill the original Rick.
Okay.
So, I mean, that was a huge shock. It's probably the most shocking thing, because since Evil Morty appeared in season 1, fans were like, when are we going to see him again? When? And we finally got him in like the midpoint of season 3. It's absolutely nuts. Ugh, excuse me.
Interested? We got 2 left.
We'll see.
2 more chances, Austin.
I guess so. Number 2, we have season 3, episode 3, Pickle Rick.
This is like the pop culture phenomenon that is Pickle Rick.
I feel
Dude,
like
I saw this trailer and I immediately was like, this is gonna be big. I need a shirt. And they had Pickle Rick shirts available before the season even started.
I feel like half the fans love it and half aren't huge fans of it.
Oh, I love it. It's amazing.
Okay, so explain like what is Pickle Rick?
Okay. So it
Pickle.
starts off, the family is getting ready to go to therapy, family therapy, because Beth and Jerry are now divorced.
Mhm.
So Rick, to avoid going to therapy, turns himself into a pickle so that he doesn't have to go to family therapy because he doesn't believe in therapy.
Ah, okay.
So on one end, Rick, who wanted to, there was a whole device that he had rigged up in 10 minutes after the family left that a syringe would fly down and inject him full of liquid and turn him back into a regular individual. Well, Beth takes that. So now he's just sitting there. The cat comes up, swats him away because, as we know, cats are somehow afraid of pickles and cucumbers because they think they're snakes. So Rick falls into the sewer, to then which he creates a suit to fight off an army of rats that are in the sewer. He then launches himself above out of this toilet to find out he's in some kind of governmental secret prison or something.
Okay.
There's a
So
picture.
he's being hunted by this government agency, to which this grunt says it's an urban legend, the Pickle Man, that like comes up and like attacks people that don't believe and whatever. The government releases a prisoner when all of them start dying trying to attack Rick. They release this prisoner known as Jaguar,
Okay.
who is in this locked up for like God knows how long because of that. So they like, if you can kill him, we will reunite you with your daughter, who he thought was dead. So it becomes this very like standoff like battle between these two individuals of Jaguar and Rick.
Mm-hmm.
Both get shot at. They both like secrete their wounds to like have them stop bleeding. I think I said this in the last episode, but when like Rick gets shot, he takes like a round pickle that is in a burger out, staples it
That's
to
funny.
his body, and like puts like mustard on it to like make the bleeding stop.
Mm-hmm.
They end up eventually working together. They blow up the building, and Rick comes back to his former self. The side plot of this is that the family's in therapy, and Beth believes that these are issues by their kids because Morty's wetting the bed in class and Summer is like huffing paint. So he thinks it's like, she thinks it's their problem, but the therapist like gets them to, talking about why their grandpa's not here. It's because he turned himself into a pickle.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh wait, I thought he was their uncle.
No, he's their.
His grandpa.
Oh, my bad.
But
same thing.
And in the end, like Rick comes and sits down with the family, still as a pickle, discusses therapy with the issues. And at the end, it was Rick and Beth being like, "We're perfect. We don't need her." And the kids are like, she was kind of nice. Like, she brought up a lot of points. So it's like the bringing up how like parents don't think they're the cause of the issue versus the kids who like know they're the issue and they need it. So it's, again, a very like hilarious episode because why would a grown man turn himself into a pickle to avoid therapy? But people don't want to do therapy, so.
Yeah, yay, nay.
Well, I hate pickles, so
Oh,
that's
sorry.
not
Okay,
gonna
so
like.
not that
So
episode.
that's not gonna do it for me.
Finally, at number 1, season 2, episode 4, Total Recall. I love this episode so much. It introduces you to so many wacky and zany characters. The premise is that the family is sitting there eating breakfast, but there's a guy there that's never been seen before. That's their Uncle Steve. And they're treating him like he's been in the show the whole time. They're like, "Oh yeah, Uncle Steve," and it's like, wait, who are you? And so Rick shoots him, and it turns out to be an alien parasite that worms their way into the family and creates false memories of themselves to help spread amongst the family to help them survive. And man, you are introduced to after this, you have Mr. Poopy Butthole that shows up, obviously. This is the birthplace of him. And it's like, we gotta keep an eye out for any zany and wacky characters. And like, ooh wee, Rick, you got it. It's like, thanks, Mr. Poopy Butthole. So they make a tally sheet of how many original people there were. And so before you know it, all these different characters start to show up. There's like a Italian guy named Cousin Vinny. It's like, oh, Cousin Vinny. It's like, oh, hey, yeah, it's Cousin Vinny. We're walking here. They're like, no, stop going back to the memories. And sooner or later, you have guys like Photography Raptor and Hamurai, who's a samurai made of entirely of armor of meat.
Very creative with the people.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. It's an Amish cyborg named Amish Cyborg. There's
creative names.
There's Wizard Baby. There's Mrs. Refrigerator. Like, where else am I looking? I can look in here. There is Reverse Giraffe, who has essentially like a long body but short neck. There's Tinkles. There is Sleepy Gary, who becomes a fake like Jerry love interest. Like Jerry and him like fall in love. They have this whole relationship of wanting to go like on a boat, like eventually having sex and talking about Star Wars and like keeping it a secret from Beth. That because in this, Jerry is not Beth's husband. He's Sleepy Gary's best friend, and that Sleepy Gary is married to Beth. There is. I'm trying to. Yeah, there's Hamurai.
Well, yeah, here he's got like Vo's got a list up. So there's Uncle Steve, Cousin Nicky, Mr. Beauregard, Frankenstein, Sleepy Gary, Photography Raptor,
Pencilvester,
Tinkles, Hamurai, Amish Cyborg, Reverse Giraffe,
Ghost in a Jar,
Baby Wizard, Mrs. Refrigerator, and Duck with Muscles.
So it turns out that they're able to tell the difference between who's real and who's not, because they can't tell anymore, is the ones that are fake only have positive memories of each other.
Ah, clever.
Have bad memories, and to figure that out, we go through and basically like the fake ones try to have Morty like kill Rick, and then Morty figures it out, and they're like, well, who else has a bad memory? And you have Summer start thinking about Beth and how it was picture day and she came in and Beth was like drunk off her ass on wine and like was like, oh, it's like, are you my life coach? And like accidentally like hits Summer in the eye with like a bottle of wine, so her eye's all bruised. So she's like, nope, that's our mother. And Morty starts thinking about Summer and how like he's watering the garden, and she just comes up and like kicks him in the balls, and she's like, don't go in my room. And he's like, I didn't. Where Jerry's like, Sleepy Gary dies, so like right in front of Jerry. So Jerry like has Beth like point the rifle at his head. He's like, "Send me to Gary. I want to be with Gary." Beth and Matt like has the memory of like when she was at the grocery store with Jerry, and like this homeless guy starts chasing after Jerry with like a broken bottle, and he leaves Beth behind to like hide in the car, and then this homeless person with a bottle starts chasing after like Beth. So they find out at the end that Summer's the one that like caught the disease that gave him all those parasites. And everyone's like at the table, and they come up, and it's like, well, I guess we're done with that. And then Mr. Poopy Butthole comes and sits next. He's like, ooh, you got that right. It's like, will someone pass me a pork chop? And he starts like eating. Then Beth looks at him where he's like, oh, is something wrong, Beth? And she shoots him, and it's like real blood. And he's like, oh, God, why? Oh, Jesus, no. It's like, the ending scene is like Mr. Poopy Butthole in like recovery, like walking on like one of those like things. And he gives the nurse a message to tell them and to say that they're sorry that they have no bad memories of him.
Aww.
He's a good guy.
Uh-huh.
Just like this top 10. I think it's pretty good.
There's definitely like some other ones you could throw in there, but
what was the Battle of the Band one?
Battle of the Band.
It's like the inner galaxy music.
Oh, the yeah, that's Get Swifty.
Yeah, that
Get
one.
Swifty.
I'm surprised that wasn't on the top 10.
The Orb and Bops come to the Earth and like have a contest to see who could come up with an original pop song.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where like, oh, okay, they did it, but then they get thrown into a competition with other planets. Ice-T gets involved, to where we find out that Ice-T isn't human. He's like an actual tea of ice that was transformed. His original element was water. He was known as Water Tea, but then he was transformed into ice and exiled from his family.
Aww.
To where he make amends. He comes home to find out that his family is invaded by the Numericons, which are numbers, and his father dies. He's like, oh, I'm sorry I turned you into ice. He's like, how are we gonna do this? Water Tea at the house. He's like, then I better crunch the numbers. And he like comes out with like two pistols in each end of the tea. It's hilarious.
It's a good one. So, you gonna watch any?
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I could have done better without Austin dying on air, but I mean, then again, like it is
Can't
what happens.
control that.
That's true. We can't control that.
But I sacrificed myself for this show.
That's true. I'll give you a lot of credit for that.
But all right, you can always find us. This was a great episode. You can always find us again every Tuesday, 6:30 on Twitch. We might be taking a little bit of a break here.
Yes, we're going on a hiatus for a little bit because one of us has some big life changes occurring. Yeah.
So
Austin.
Yeah, so we'll see when they get their shit together, and then we'll figure out some.
yeah,
Yeah,
we're
you
not
guys
sure
just
if
need a
we-
break. The
Yeah.
king's brain needs a break.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, he forgot his crown today. Jeez, and he's clearly not feeling well. He was struggling through that top 10, so makes sense.
I sacrificed myself for the better of this show.
Mm.
That's all I'm gonna say. But all right, so we're not sure when we're gonna see you guys again, but we hope that it's soon. Until then, you can watch all our stuff that's been updated through YouTube. That you can see all of our shows, all 108 of them.
That's a long time.
That is a lot. No wonder you were on your deathbed on this one. It was starting to sicken you.
That concludes season 1 of the ranking.
We should have spread these out into seasons.
Yeah, that's the vaults thing. We're not copying them.
I was saying we should have did it sooner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
But I digress. All right, some of us have other places to be, so I will turn it over. You all have a wonderful night, and we will see you back whenever.
Some
In
Tuesday.
the RankKing's court. Gavel Greg. Court is adjourned.
Court is adjourned.